I'll start off as chair, and then I think Councilmember Campillo has his hand raised too. But we've seen some pretty horrific things happening around the world and here at home recently, including the examples of the horrific violence on December 14th in Bondi Beach in the mass shooting. We've seen local tragedies here at home, just down the road in Shabbat Poway, where I grew up in 2019. During the pandemic, we saw an alarming rise in hate crimes against our Asian American community. We saw a rise in hate crimes against the LGBTQ community 2 summers ago at Pride here in San Diego. And so if we could just start with a moment of silence for everybody that we've lost recently to hate in the world. Hate crimes don't just harm one person or one family, they send fear through entire communities. And that's why we are all here. When someone is targeted because of who they are, how they worship, where they come from, it tears at the promise that all of us have that we all deserve dignity and respect in our community. And that's why we're here today. I called this hearing to make sure that we stand up against hate in all forms, in all counties, in all corners of this county, and that we celebrate every member of our community, including celebrating and protecting our Jewish community. And I want to thank you for being here and voicing the experiences that you've had. I also want to thank the district attorney for prosecuting crimes, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to anything you've heard or ways that people can report. If people are worried, oh, this is just something small, I shouldn't report it, please encourage them to do so.
First, addressing those who spoke, I want to extend my deepest heartfelt honor and respect to all of you for taking the time to come down here and voice what is happening in your lives and in your community. And I also want to equally express my honor and respect for those who I'm sure would have come here as well and provided their countless additional stories, but for the fact that they probably don't have the opportunity or the luxury to come down here right now. We are your partners. It is so important that we hear your voice. It is so important that we have the information that you have. Certainly there are deficiencies, whether they be in the local schools, which I'm very much aware of. I've worked on a lot of issues dealing with mandated reporting, and so I'm very familiar with some of the things you're talking about. Hate crimes, obviously, they affect all of us in ways that are deep and permanent. Our office is 100% committed to that. That is why I'm here. That is why we have constructed a specific hate crimes task force. That is why we work closely with people like Bill Ganley, and we work closely with other individuals and other community organizations. I encourage everybody here to report everything that they're aware of, whether that is to law enforcement. If it happens at a school, you can go online. We set up a direct reporting method on our website because we recognize there are deficiencies. That's not a criticism. I'm not going to criticize a particular school or a law enforcement agency. SDPD works very hard, and whatever letter somebody got in the mail, I can't answer for that. But what I can say is the detectives and the individuals that I have worked with care very deeply about these issues. You can go on our website. That was posted there earlier. You can directly contact us. If you Google our office and hate crimes, it will come up. Any sort of incident, any sort of crime, any sort of suspicion, we will follow up. I just want to make it 100% clear how valued your voices are. We are your partners. There is absolutely no asterisk to that. This should not be tolerated. It is not tolerated. We are working constantly on making things better for the entire community. That's why we have set up direct reporting. That's why we go out and do things as simple as meeting with student groups, coming here today, going out to community groups. If we get an invitation, we will come and we will do a conference. Our office also set up the first statewide for prosecutors around the state. First, hate crimes conference, and we're going to be doing it on a biannual basis. This is a high priority, and I want you to understand that, and I want you to spread that through the community. We will support you, victim services, law enforcement contacts, et cetera, and this is something we will not lie down on. This is not something we will tolerate. San Diego is a wonderfully diverse place where we should all be free to express ourselves, live our lives, and we will 100% stand up for that every day, every night, without ceasing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And, you know, we here in the city and county of San Diego, we have unique jurisdiction. You know, this board does not have jurisdiction over the schools. The school board trustees themselves do. However, we can encourage them to have a similar conversation at the school boards. They should be having this exact conversation at the school boards. And I'm happy to reach out to the folks who represent my communities on the school boards to say this needs to be happening there as well. I'll turn over to my colleagues to continue. I just want to thank you so much for being here, all of you for being here. This is why I wanted to highlight what's happening today. And we have a lot of our San Diego police officers are in the back, so if anybody does want to talk to anybody, we have people available here to speak as well. And I have two announcements going forward about action that we can take. In addition to fully funding our hate crimes unit here with San Diego Police Department, I intend to advocate during the budget process to expand a project I have been supporting out of my office called Ruth, Remember Us, the Holocaust, which is a project being done to have local San Diego County families who have experienced the Holocaust to share their own history. So it's not so far away, it's here in San Diego County. And I helped fund the exhibit that's currently at the Redford Library in La Jolla, but I would like to see this become a traveling exhibit so that students throughout the county can see these Remember Us, the Holocaust exhibit here in San Diego. So I'll be calling for that in the budget. And then Councilmember Campillo and I are also writing to the state of California to renew a grant that ended in 2024, the California State Nonprofit Security Grant Program, which provided security grants to support targeted communities, including the Jewish community, for security enhancements. And nobody should have to put up metal detectors and hire security guards just to have a community event. But it also shouldn't fall on the burden of folks who are just working a nonprofit to have to fund that. And so while we are currently experiencing a rise in hate crimes and anti-Semitism, we believe this grant should reopen. And so Councilmember Campillo and I are going to be advocating to the governor's office for this to reopen so that we can provide funding for security at folks who feel to be very vulnerable. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Councilor Campillo.
Thank you, Chair Von Wilpert, and thank you very much to the District Attorney's Office for their prosecutions, for holding people accountable when hate crimes hit our communities. They don't just affect the specific victim. They are crimes that are intended to terrify an entire set of people, and so they take a greater weight. And so I'm glad that District Attorney Stephan puts as much time and effort and staffing into getting this done. So thank you for that. I want to thank the members of the Jewish community and the broader community, really, for their attendance and their advocacy. Many a phone call and many ideas discussed with folks who were sitting there in the room, Liat and Tamar for sure. Indeed, the original idea for our hate littering law, which is now state law with Assembly Bill 3024, that came all from a Zoom call with Tamar. So I want to thank her personally for that. And thank you, Chair Von Wilpert, for your support of the Ruth exhibit. My office and I have supported Sandy Scheller for years. She's truly amazing in her work to honor the Holocaust survivors. So thank you for that announcement. You know, as I watched this presentation, you know, seeing how hate crime is defined and then seeing how it's treated from an evidentiary standpoint, how we have to approach those types of cases, that's all very, very hyper-specific and really, really important to have successful prosecutions. And so we have the experts in front of us who know how to do that and do it successfully to protect victims. But I think that our constituents who are in the room spoke to something far broader because one prosecution, it can be successful, but it really is something that's deeper in our culture. As someone who attended and spoke the Jewish Christian Alliance event at the Legacy Center in September, and as someone who's been to the House of Israel in Balboa Park, It's at once remarkable to me that the Jewish community members ever want to try and go outside in public to do anything, given how much hate they have to withstand. But then again, as a person who just this last year visited the kibbutz Kfar Aza and the Nova musical site in Yad Vashem, I'm not at all surprised by the Jewish resilience we see here in San Diego. And as the council member of the original Jewish neighborhoods in our city, I'm proud of that resilience. Indeed, I'm inspired by that resilience. And Rabbi Lieberman, I just want to thank you in particular for being the steward of our community here in San Carlos and at Tiferet Israel for years and years. And I appreciate you. You're an excellent example of that resilience. I think what many non-Jewish people miss about hate crimes and in specific anti-Semitism is that the hate symbols and the speech are really not simply dehumanizing, but that they are language of elimination of a group of people. It's not just that a group of people is less than, it's that they don't deserve to be alive. And, when a lot of people see a swastika, they think, oh, that's about Nazism and the totalitarian regime. That's not what it is. It's a symbol of extermination, of mass murder. And so I know that every Jewish person in the audience today, they don't just feel personally threatened when they see and hear this language and these symbols. They feel their children and their spouses, their parents and extended family members are targets for termination, which is a whole next level of fear. And so that's why I'm so serious about advocating for my Jewish constituents who frankly ask for nothing more and nothing less than any other group of constituents ask for, which is to be free to live in their community and in this world. And when I say world, I mean because that's why I care so much to advocate for Israel as a nation, as the ancestral home of the Jewish people, to exist, because I met people in Israel who felt safe nowhere in the world, even and especially in the United States. And when they made Aliyah, they had a place where they felt at home and who told me to my face they felt safe there. So every nation of people deserve that type of place, and the Jewish community should be treated no differently. And so as we acknowledge that hate crimes are rising across not just our city, our state, they are rising across the world because of how people are taking advantage of social media, taking advantage of social and cultural trends. We have to acknowledge that anti-Semitism right now is growing, and it is the fastest growing form of hate. And it's becoming far more virulent. I believe it was Councilmember Whitburn who said late last year, along with city human Relations Commission members of our city, that we ought to take up the IRA definition for consideration. I agree with him on that, and I hope we'll do that soon. Thank you, Chair, for docketing this item, for us taking this so seriously. I know on behalf of my constituents in District 7 who might not know and might not hear that this was a focal point for the City Council and our Public Safety Committee today, I thank you on their behalf. It really means a lot. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask a few quick questions. I think it's very important that we re-educate all of America in regard to hate crimes and anti-Semitism, but anti-everything. As bad as it is for us, it's still worse for Black people, even in our city. I want you to know the numbers are terrible. But it's bad for anybody. Black, brown, white, green, yellow, doesn't matter. So what I wanted to ask you was, what is the training in the police academies in regard to anti-Semitism?
So while it's been 23 years since I was there, and I'm not very familiar with it, I can tell you that the overarching theme for any law enforcement officer, including those that are in the academy, is to be someone who listens first and then asks questions. And so when it comes to what the training is, the first part is to listen, to hear what's actually going on. Empathy plays a big role in getting anyone to believe you, let alone taking a great statement from them and understanding it. And when it comes to crimes involving hate and hate crime allegations, one of our policies, in fact, the piece that guides what our officers do, revolves around recognizing that a hate crime is not just an individual instance. It is one that affects the community globally. And so as far as how listening goes and how we receive things, that's the first piece for our officers.
do they have any training on the history of this? I mean, it is 6,000 years old. It continuously comes back again and again and again. And this is why I think in our Jewish DNA, we feel it when it's starting to come again.
Effort with your police
Is there
department.
ever role playing in the training? I think role playing is very useful.
So yeah, there is. So there's role playing that is tested in scenarios. There's also in the effective interactions portion and the cultural competencies portion, we will bring in role players to interact with new recruits and see how they do. Because after 20 years, you kind of get a feel how to interact with the community. But when you're brand new, you're fresh out of college, maybe you're fresh out of the military or working a job at Target or AutoZone, we have to build those skills from the ground up.
Yes, I agree. And I wanted to ask you, do you know anything about the rock throwing incident where the Jewish person was hurt downtown, yelled at, and mistreated, and then as the perpetrators ran away, threw a rock at him, but he was arrested?
I'm not familiar with that, but I'd be happy to look into it.
Okay, I hope that doesn't involve San Diego Police Department, but I just want to make sure that every single one of our police know not to be prejudiced and follow that in their lives every minute. Yeah, and I must say, you know, I'm old. When I was a kid, it was just after the Holocaust was discovered by the rest of the world. And so everyone grew up every day in the newspaper, there were, oh, this concentration camp has just been discovered, or this or that or that. And so when I was young, everyone was very aware of what happened in Germany and throughout Europe because of the Nazis. And so when I was in 5th grade, a girl from my class told all the other students not to talk to me because I was a dirty Jew. The students were horrified. I could hear them saying, what? Because they knew better. Because in those days, it was so close to World War II. Everyone knew the history. Everyone understood the problems. Now we've lost that. People aren't being properly educated about world history, about Jewish history, about Black history, and about the horrible things that have happened to people just because of who they are, and that we're all one, and we're all human beings. And that, by the way, is the premise of the main Jewish prayer. We are one, and God is one. And that is what the Jewish people brought to the earth 6,000 years ago, almost. So I want to thank you for further continuing the training, making it deeper, if at all possible, since things are getting worse and worse every year. We see the numbers go up. And I think we need to make this a national thing of importance, that all Americans be re-educated about tolerance and about loving. So it's not just tolerating each other, it's loving each other. And we have to understand where our different communities came from. And here in San Diego, we are so diverse. I think we have 130 different languages. And so we must love each other and come together. And I want to thank the church that did that. And I'm sorry that you're going to have to hire more guards when you have these legacy events, because there are hateful people, some of whose ancestors or they themselves came from countries where they don't understand that it's okay to do peaceful protest. That means no hate speech. That means peaceful. And whatever happened to you or your people should not be based on hate, and vice versa. So I want to thank you for everything you're doing, and please, let's build it up much more. And Summer Steffen's a friend of mine. I'm going to talk to her about what I heard, because I'm so upset that anybody would think she's anti-Semitic. And she herself comes from a community that was wiped out in about right around the turn of the 1800s to the 1900s. And she understands this very personally. And so I find it hard to believe that she would have any hatred in her heart. No, that was somebody, okay. Well, yeah, I just want to stand up for her because I know that's not true. And that was actually the group that she came from, was what Hitler told his cabinet people, sort of cabinet people, his minions. Hitler told his minions that they did it to those people so we can get away with it, just like they did back in 1900. Well, that's what he was based on. And these groups now are based on Hitler. And so much is going on that is based on the Third Reich. And many are trying to make the Fourth Reich. We must put a stop to this. And I'm sure we will, because we are not going to put up with it in America. But thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Now, Councilmember Whitburn.
Thank you, Chair. I want to say thank you for the presentation. Thank you for being here this afternoon. Thank you to all the members of the Jewish community who are here and shared your experiences with us this afternoon. I represent both Balboa Park and Mission Valley, and the targeted abuse that has been experienced by the Jewish community at the House of Israel and at the Legacy Center and anywhere else is obviously unacceptable. I also want to thank you, Mr. Marquardt, for prosecuting hate crimes. Many of the victims of hate crimes suffer profound long-term impacts, as you well know. And prosecution can act as a real deterrent. We've seen that with some of the hate crimes against the LGBTQ community up in Hillcrest. We had somebody that was hit with a pellet gun. We've had incidents of vandalism. The San Diego Police Department investigated those incidents and made arrests. And I think that those arrests and the subsequent prosecutions, which were reported in the media, which I think is important, sent a signal that we are not going to tolerate this kind of behavior. So thanks to all of you for sharing the importance of enforcing the law against hate crimes. And thank you to the District Attorney's Office for pursuing justice. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And thank you all for being here. Thank you again. And thank you to our district attorney. And this is an important conversation. That's why we wanted to have it here at City Hall. And we appreciate you being here.